She was killed on the show. Wait, Marge died on the show? On The Simpsons? The mama? Oh.
Wait, bitch, what?
What? Not Marge died.
What?
Wait, hold on. Not Marge. How you gonna kill Marge off? Marge Simpson is very much alive. The Simpsons executive producer says after finale sparked online outrage, there is no canon. You can't put down the pitch. You can put down the pitchfork, save the strong words, letters. Marge is not going anywhere, despite a sudden uptick in online hot takes that the Simpsons matriarch died in the show's finale. She has done no such a thing. The Simpson producer confirmed Marge is still very much alive and will be around for years to come. Hell, she's probably going to outlive all of us. That's the official word. So apparently there was some kind of moment. You know what I love about The Simpsons? I love that Jennifer Tilly owns a percentage of The Simpsons and getting paid from it as an ex-wife of one of its creators. That is sickening to me. But I learned that on basketball. What is it that she ain't on basketball? I said basketball. Housewives of Beverly Hills, right? Something. I love that she owns a percentage of The Simpsons and get paid off of the coin. I live for it.
Cut it out.
For me, it's when there's video/discussions around Fathom Street Fair. I have no idea what that is. It's a flash forward episode. Gotcha. I'm not saying that Lexi was doing, but that's how they treated it. I get it these days. I let people do them. Yeah, there was a pick. There's also I get cringy when there's a pick me energy, and Lexi was given very much pick me energy on that show because there was a moment where Mona, the cis woman, was educating her, and I was like, "This is embarrassing." Like I would be embarrassed to be on a hood bitch show. Not saying the hood bitches ain't intelligent, but I'm supposed to come on your show because you want me to come and represent trans community and be educational, and you educate me. And you are pushing back on me as far as, I think it was about the cisgender subject. The word cisgender is something where she was given, I hear you're playing Good Samaritan. I don't know I can't remember exactly what it was, but I cringe on those moments. It got me that she and her sisters are the second sister in the history to have an Oscar. Yeah, that's dope. I love Lexi, but she has a lot of growing. Yeah, she too old to be. Lexi is older. She ain't no spring chicken. Let me see what Sam said. Sam said, I think for a marginalized group that is already misunderstood is actually dangerous and even more confusing for these people to put out such content. It's actually selfish. Listen, but the problem with that is the problem when you have that mindset, Sam, is everybody isn't going to agree on the type of content that should be put out. She was schooling her on respectful pronouns. Cisgender subject and the non-binary topic always trips Lexi up. Yeah. So we take it out of the trans context and just think about the black context, black stories, black narratives. There has, since I've been alive, when it comes to stories being told about what black people don't respect, when we talk about
What you watching? I'm not watching nothing. I'm
stories
gaming.
about gay men, when we talk about stories about black women, if it's not black excellence,
What you
something
watching?
that they deem to be respectable, then the content that is about those non-respectable things, they complain about it being not good enough. And that's not the image. Why are we doing shows about black baby mamas and not married wives taking care of their children with loving husbands? Why are we not doing stories about that? Even when reality TV, why are they always fighting on reality TV? Why are we not showing respectful stories? It's always going to be somebody that's not down with showing the ugly side or the not respectable side, when it should be equal of all. It should be all the stories told. I'm not somebody who thinks that it should be one respectful story. And so when we think, the problem is with what you're saying, and not that it's a problem, I understand what you're saying, but the problem is everybody is not going to agree that the content is problematic. That's the problem. Everybody is not going to agree. I have content about me. I got a video that is one of my most popular videos called Pussy Stunt, about me tricking niggas. So when I put that out there, people were sliding in my inbox telling me that I shouldn't put that type of stuff out because then they gonna think that trans women is out here tricking niggas. That was some content that people had a problem with. They thought that I was putting out a certain narrative. One of my most popular videos, Man of My Dreams. I'm sneaking and sucking a nigga dick that don't know my teeth.
What are you playing? I ain't doing shit. Just smoking and going through different things. Word. I'm playing GTA Online on PS5, obviously.
But that's what I experience with my own life. And so I'm sharing my own life. But there's some people that have a problem with that content. Am I going to take it down? No. But when I put it up, that was the response to it.
We're not doing this.
So everybody is not going to agree with the type of content that is respectful.
Doing that. Ooh.
Oh, I have a...
Anyway.
Oh, what you call it? The anniversary of Stonewall is tomorrow. That is my alarm. That's experience, though. Even if it's wrong, there's still a lesson to be learned, right? So, who gets to say? I wish I did. Who gets to say what is right, what is wrong? Like, it gets us. I don't think it's wrong to state your opinion on whether you think it's right or wrong. But the problem is you're never going to get a consensus. So I'm not saying to stop critiquing. What I'm saying is I need you also to pay attention to what you think is acceptable. Happy birthday. If I don't see you tomorrow, which I'm not going to see you tomorrow, so happy birthday now. Gemini, aren't you a Gemini? Or this Cancer. You're a Cancer.
Oh my God, it is Cancer season, bitch. Oh my God.
Yep, two things can be true at once.
Oh my God.
Since the trans community is so small and most people are already confused, putting out content that is so nuanced makes it difficult to move forward. Okay.
Hello, thank you for returning my call. Well, I'd love to get tickets to Vegas.
My
Thank you.
only my only pushback on that is I have a problem with people blaming everything on confused. I don't think people be confused. I feel like they get it, they just disagree. I don't think trans folks are confused. I think that they don't think you should fucking exist. I don't think that you can be a woman and you was born a male. I'm not confused about shit that you're saying. I know what you're trying to sell me, but I just disagree. You see what I'm saying? I don't think it's always confusion. You have people who don't objectively think. So when people give their raw experience, they only think about how it negatively influences rather than listening to understand. Ooh, come on, New York. New York says we must stop kitty gloving these folks who ain't kitty gloving us. Amen. I don't dumb down these people. I feel like these motherfuckers be knowing. I don't believe that either. Most people are not invested in trans issue to seek understanding. It's too it I could believe that 15 years ago. I can't believe it now. They're running campaigns on it. They're moving people to the polls to be against us right now. They are invested in it. Now, 15, 20 years ago, I feel like people were like, what? I don't give a fuck about that shit. That ain't got nothing to do with us. But now, 2025, I don't believe that. They invested. They have the reason why they invested. Because it moves people. There has been research shown that the trans issue moves people to the right, even lefties. They know that the trans shit get motherfuckers hyped up. It was a wedge issue to get people to align with conservatives. Yes. They care. That moves people. Respectable content or not, they don't care for people's existence. Yeah. And I feel like another element is another element is you not gonna I don't know if you If you fuck with trans people, you not gonna look at Lily Tino and be like, oh no, I don't fuck with that trans shit. If you look at what she doing negatively, it's because you was already over there. I don't find that to be that powerful. I don't find that to be. I feel like us. I feel like us critiquing it makes it more powerful because everybody's chiming in on their opinion. But just on its own, I don't think it's moving people. Good night, Jimmy.
Okay, now I gotta stop.
I don't think it's moving people like that. Do you think somebody is looking at Lily Tino and saying, who is it already a transphobe and saying, see? Look at this creep going to the girls' bathroom. They're already a transphobe if they're doing that. I don't think she's shifting the tides. Looking at one person, Lily Tino, and judging an entire community is ignorant, period. And it's because you want to. Are these lays? No, they are. I think Frito-O's. It's just Fritos. I'm fixing some chili. I don't even know why I'm eating these by itself. I don't even like these by itself like that. I'm just eating. I ain't even hungry. I want to put them over some chili. Yeah, some salsa and chili and sour cream. That's why I'm offering something. Because I'm throwing out some ground beef, so I'm gonna do that. Hey, Coco. Polar says the people who have been more objective towards the trans community have, unfortunately, been the black side. I've experienced more homophobia and transphobia from them than any other group of folks. Polar, are you black? I'm black. The problem that I have with a black person saying that is proximity. But I don't think that's just this issue right now. If you black, you're gonna have more black people in your vicinity or your radar when it comes to shit. All of my bullies in my life, 80% have been black. But I'm a black girl. I'm a black trans woman. I'm in black community. If I went to an all-white school, all my bullies would have been white. So, of course it's going to be more. Because you black. So, of course you're going to hear more black people talking about anti-transness than other races. I don't even be watching white people like that. So, of course, I'm going to hear more anti-trans rhetoric coming from black people because I don't engage with white people content like that. Some, but very, compared to black, no, they're probably like 10%, if that. I follow black people. So, of course, when I hear anti-black rhetoric, it's going to be from some black motherfuckers because I'm black and I'm in black community. And so I'm going to do that. So I'm never going to... Now, if you just be around white people all the time and you only hear from black people, then that would make sense to me. But for me, it's kind of like the black on black crime situation. Like, of course, in the black community, it's going to be black on black crime. that we notice and pay attention to. But if you was white, most of the people who do the crimes in your group is white. The same thing. It's kind of that kind of black on black. I think it's kind of there's for us to align with the idea that black people are more homophobic, black people are more transphobic, black people are more colorist. It's ahistorical. I think that it is. I think that's ahistorical. We had a conversation about colorism too. Not I had a conversation, but I watched Deontay Kyle on Mona on Don't Call Me White Girl. Let me see if I can find it. History. Don't Call Me White Girl. Okay.
Travel can be.
Yeah. Let me go to 26. Okay. This is her talking about
Colorism works. I understand that it's harder for you the darker you are in this country. I understand the full gamut. But why does that take away what I experienced as a kid? Right? Because nobody liked me because I was light skinned. Now, after doing that podcast, tons of research, I figured out I Googled what colorism meant.
yeah.
So I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
Colorism only works in one way.
Right.
What I noticed, and I get it a lot in my emails and my texts, but y'all, when y'all talk to me, when I first went viral, people used to write me like, yeah, we finally have somebody to stand up for us. Like every freckle-faced ginger, all y'all light-skinned cousins with the red hair was all in my DMs, emails, like, you that bitch hold us down, right? Because I don't really know like people that didn't have that same experience, especially from the ghetto.
Okay.
Or it's an assumption that you are not as tough as everybody else we know.
Yeah, but this goes way back.
Okay.
Way back.
So, I don't know. I want to talk about that. Because it goes back to what I think when I talk about what we talk about with Poland. I think. Listen. When you see that ISM on some shit, that is about system. So when we talk about racism, you see that ISM, we're talking about systematic shit. When we talk about sexism, when we talk about colorism, when you see that ism, we're talking about systematic structure and the harm that these systems actually do to somebody. Yes, everything she said is true. I have been mistreated because in certain situations, because I was lighter. Some boys, some darker boys. I remember when I was in 3rd grade, it was dark-skinned niggas that were chasing me home. Most of my bullies when I was younger was dark-skinned niggas. When I was in high school, William Hyde, Brandon Burke, dark-skinned niggas. It was dark-skinned niggas that was bothering me. When I was young, in my younger mind, I didn't understand the nuance of those systems. I was just thinking about it on a simpler level, just a one-on-one level. Why are these dark-skinned people bothering me? I'm not thinking about why, yes, they're bothering me and they shouldn't be bothering me. But when I would have to fight somebody because I'm queer and they bullying me, and I would have to go to the detention office, when I would go in this fucking detention office and see all the boys who I knew was bullies or blah, 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 why is everybody, they don't, it's only dark-skinned niggas in this detention. In 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade,
I don't have the political mind that I have now to notice that it's only dark-skinned boys in here. The only reason why you in here is because you gay and you fought somebody. But I'm not paying attention to the fact that everybody in this detention, after school detention, is dark-skinned boys. All I'm worried about when I come in this room is like, damn, these are all my fucking bullies. All these niggas gonna start calling me bags when I come in here. They gonna call me sisters. In 5th grade. But at 44, because I know the statistics and I know the systems that pipeline boys, because we're in this school in the hood that don't got enough activities, don't got enough funding, why are these black boys going to this particular poor-ass school with no kind of resources? They don't have enough money to pay for a good guidance counselor, to even talk to them about anti-bullying, to talk to them about safe sex, to talk to them about why drugs is bad. They're not investing in this the way they're investing in other people. And so the system let all these boys in here. And individuals treating them super, super bad. Where even though I was gay and that could bring some negative stuff, I also was licensed. And so some of my teachers were treating me a little bit better. And not quick to call the police on me. Not quick to send me to the detention center. And so while my 5th grade mind couldn't know the political implications of it, because I didn't intellectually understand the systems, I'm thinking that these dark-skinned boys are bothering me because I'm light skinned. And that could be an element, but it doesn't, colorism is not affecting me. That system, that ISM, that system is actually not affecting me. This is just some prejudice happening. They're actually lashing out at me because I'm queer and I'm light skinned. And we've been taught that you better, so we're gonna punch on and beat on you. But the system is still affecting them in a way that it's not affecting me. And my brain as an adult has the concept of the system. And I can separate a system from just some prejudice happening. Does it make sense? I can separate that this was just a prejudice moment that I was still in, and I still was benefiting from the system. It doesn't feel good, me being bullied by these dark-skinned boys getting chased to home. That doesn't feel good, but that's not colorism. That's not that system affecting me. That's prejudice, but it's not colorism. And then she said, colorism only works one way. If they just be badass bastards. If you're getting mostly dark-skinned people in dark-skinned boys in your detention center, there's no way that it's only badass bastards and dark-skinned male chicks. If all your badass bastards,
I did my part, bitch.
but if all of a sudden all your badass bastards are dark-skinned male children, you have a problem. There's something going on. There's something going on that's making that number high. Some systematic reason.
This all goes to plan. You rendezvous on the beach in the Palomino Highlands. And remember, Reshkovsky's paying you to get him out. I'm just a friendly stranger you know very
They could be just that. But if it's only that demographic, only dark-skinned black males that ain't a coincidence, right? That's not a coincidence. That is some systematic reason that is happening. Some type of systematic oppression
versus very black, right? Because I grew up in Florida, I found that the vitriol was very strong on the black side. The transphobia really came hard from black women. Yes, no. I'm not saying that that's not. I'm not saying that your experience is not real. I'm saying that there's a reason why you as a black person is going to get access to that vitriol. And we're not going to talk about the freedom that other cultures have when it comes to their gender expression, just based on anti-blackness. White men are the top of the food chain. They can be way more free sexually. They ain't compared to black men. They can be way more free and open. Way more free. It's less dangerous in the world for them. So they're going to have access to being more free and accepting. They're at the top of the food chain. It's not dangerous. They have the privilege of individualism. When a white person does something egregious or not respectable, they're not blanketing it over the whole group. When we are doing something that's not respectable to them, aka be trans, be gay, be effeminate, they don't blanket it over their whole group. They blanket it over our whole group. So they have the benefit of individualism. So even the anti-blackness, which the system being set up like that, will allow us to be a situation where it's harder. The other trans family were saying it behind your back. I bet money. And that part too. You black, so they can talk to you openly. Whereas the white person, because of the white guilt and racism, they might not give you the same anti-blackness publicly to you as the black person.
I should say, I've been impressed by your professionalism. Now, I'm not gonna
They are the lone wolf, yes. They were also noticing your difference. They've been trained to be racist in private, and that carries over into other issues. Yes.
Don't retire on me just yet.
You're not good. You are not, because that's why I asked you, are you black? You are not white, so you're not gonna have access to the full breadth of their racism. Anybody who doesn't navigate cis maleness, we are not gonna have access to the full breadth of cis men's misogyny. We're just not gonna have access to it. We're not gonna be allowed in certain rooms. We're not gonna be allowed to see the full-fledged conversation of these issues. That's also some of this content creation too. Sometimes we are in these conversations. I watched a video of a man talking to his homeboy, and his homeboy was recording. And this is 2025, and he was arguing with this man about him being allowed to rape his wife, because that's his wife. I need to stop pushing beauty energy. Let's see if I can find it.
Got him.
He was just, I don't think he would have had this conversation with women. Come on, what's happening tonight? There was a, relax. This is an example too, but just on the religious side. Okay? If you're not a Christian, you are not going, especially if you're not a white Christian, or if you might know that Christianity is weird and they can do some weird ass shit, but if you are not in them churches every day, getting the sermons, you ain't gonna get the full breadth of how toxic their culture can be. In that white evangelicals, Kojic people, you don't know the ugly side of them because you're not in the culture. You having a general idea of, oh, they super religious, blah blah blah, but you wouldn't get the full breadth of how they think about shit. So let me give you this perfect example. And if you're a woman, you got no business wearing no pajama pants. Somebody said, what? The Bible is very plain. You got pajama pants on in the house, you're a cross dresser. Put on something that's holy and sanctified. You also say, well, I'm supposed to be comfortable in my own house. Listen, your body's supposed to be a living sacrifice. It ain't meant to be comfortable. What the fuck are you talking about? And if you're a woman, you got no business wearing no pajama. And if you're a woman, you got no business. That's crazy. In fucking insane. I said cross dresser. Well, happy Pride, ladies. Where is the conversation with that boy? God damn, I hate that I go.
Hell of a shot, too.
Okay, here. Damn, so women can't even wear PJ Jump Child. Crazy. But that level of stupid, if he wasn't recorded and somebody recorded him and posted it, we wouldn't know that level of stupidity because I'm not a Christian. That was a pulpit conversation at the church. You see what I'm saying? You have to be in that group to know the breadth of how foolish they can be.
Yo, you stepped hard.
How so? It's just respecting boundaries and understanding that you can't force somebody to do something that they want to do, and that's considered. I don't want to be personal, that's your way. So, so he's arguing with his homeboy about whether or not his wife can be raped. Marital rape became illegal in all 50 states in 1993. Marital rape. It'd been legal in some states for a long time, but there was different states that were kind of increments, like similar to like same-sex marriage. But it became illegal in 1993. Right, marriage should not erase consent. It doesn't. But prior to 1993, there was no legal ramifications in a lot of states for a wife to bring up rape charges to her husband because people thought like him. There's states currently fighting to keep their consent age at 16. And some of that consent age can go lower if they're getting married. Yes, 1993. 1993. Yes. Women weren't allowed to get legally get business loans until 1988.
on their own, without a husband, without no kind of something. Business loans in 1988. Credit cards in 70 something, 75 or 73. Bank accounts a little bit earlier. So, yeah, so in 1993, across all 50 states, we have legal marital rates were illegal.
Hey, where are you?
So now, in 2025,
When I called you earlier.
this man is sitting, his homeboy is explaining to him that it's still her choice, bro. And you are saying, she's my wife. She decided to, she took the vows to, what did he say? Obey.
I think it's just respecting her boundaries and understanding that you can't force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. That that's considered.
Right.
Okay, no. First off, that's right. So hard to go big, right?
First off, that's your wife. You took vows to honor and obey. That's some old school shit. Some of this shit is race based too. It is. You're right. That's a goes back to click. But sometimes the race based is also people think like this. This is how in person heard people have this conversation.
It's been years for me.
So there are
This is the summer I might do it. When's the last time you've been tan?
So yes, I do think the content to be race baiting, but it also is not fake. There are people who talk just like this. I get to do whatever to my wife because that's my wife. Ain't no. Ain't no. Ain't no such thing as rape. I can't rape my wife because ain't no. So, yeah, that's weird.
First, I wanted to say the reason why I did that post yesterday was. First, I wanted to say.
Let me go back to this.
What's good?
Okay, so let's get it spicy. All right? We good. We got enough time for this. You know I'm ready to go over.
I don't know where she going.
All right, so let's talk about this.
Shit's getting weird. Right there. Are you falling in love with a child before?
I would rather die a virgin than harm a child.
When did you figure out that you were attracted to kids?
It was in 7th grade. A neighbor came to visit my grandfather with a 7-year-old daughter, and I looked up at her, and I just was mesmerized by her beauty. And that's when I first started to realize, wait a minute, my attractions go way lower than what I thought they did. I went through a couple of years of denial and kind of back and forth on it, but eventually, probably about the age of 16, I basically started to accept it. People go, oh, you can't, you have a hard time controlling yourself. You're gonna, you're destined to offend. I don't think that's true for most men. Man, minor attractive person. Non-offending maps exist. We are out there. If I don't believe in conversion therapy, the best they can do is help us to cope and find ways to live with it without causing harm. Destigmatizing itself will help maps to come out of the shadow.
Stay in the fucking shadows. Stay your ass in the shadows because it's for your best interest. Listen, I'm a pretty open person, but I'll be open with this. I will never call you a man. It's never gonna fucking happen. I know we don't agree on a lot as a society, but we can agree on this. We will never, ever desensitize ourselves to this shit. It's never gonna happen. And as a new father, I was already hiding with this. As a new father, y'all better stay your ass in the fucking shadows. It's getting weird.
All right, what's your thoughts? Okay, we said, oh, not that spicy. This is getting disgusting. Literally got chills in the worst way. Whoa, bruh. What the fuck? Disgusting. Very dangerous. I don't agree with black men. Hide your kids. My brother's in prison now after something like this. My donor. They missed the days when that was legal. Japan just lifted their age of consent. The white man believes he can't be reformed because of that thinking. You do need to be able to start some kind of conversation with these people. So, I don't believe in cute little names, not MAP, minor attractive people. You're a pedophile. You haven't done anything. Great, wonderful. I don't think that they should stay in the closet, and I hate to even say in the closet. I don't think that they should stay hidden, because when you start saying in the closet, then it makes this kind of weird parallel to homosexuality, gayness, and da-da-da-da, stealth, da-da-da-da. I don't like that. So let me retract that language. I don't think that they should be hidden. I don't think that they should be in the shadows, because when they're in the shadows, and they're dealing with this alone, I feel like that is a recipe for disaster. Saying something is sick, disgusting, while I understand it, because I'm not a pedophile, and I think that it's disgusting, I think that it's sick, I do think it's sick. But saying it in the same way that when people used to say homosexuality, you got to, I'm comparing the stigma of it. I'm not saying that these are equal. I'm talking about the stigma and why people hid things like this. If you give them room to talk about it, we can get room for them to get help. That don't mean, oh, this is normal. You can't play the same game with homosexuality. You see what I'm saying? You can be like, that's normal. There's tons of gay people. You can play the normality game with that. But this is where it gets with you, because that's a slippery slope. Because some people don't think that that's natural, normal, or good. Homosexuality. They think that is just as deviant as pedophile. That's why they connected to it. But I think us who understand that. Now somebody who way over there, they may not be able to get it. But I feel like people being honest like this allows us to talk to him and say, hey, let's talk and see where your mind is. How did this start? How did this begin? How are you able to not act on it? When does it get hard? When does it get difficult? So we can avoid putting you and other people like you in those situations. You have to. We don't learn about narcissistic people until we talk to psychiatrists and psychologists. Talk to narcissists or sociopaths or serial killers. We can't get into their mind unless we talk to them and we know they exist. But if he can't say anything, he can't tell us why. If I can't talk to a rapist about when was his first rape, how did it happen, what did you do, we can't study and examine and reduce the risk. How did this happen? Let's see what y'all saying. There was an episode of Cops show where the cop basically unwittingly talked a man back into offending because the cops was talking like the black man. Children cannot consent though. This cannot be convinced. This I cannot be convinced of. We're not talking about consent. Yeah, we're not talking about the right or wrongness of molesting children. We're not talking that is unequivocally wrong.
But we're talking about somebody who is saying that this is a problem of mine. Just like drugs. We know drugs are bad. I don't care. That's my opinion of it. Drugs are bad. They're bad on your body. They're bad on your health. They're bad. So, if they can't freely talk about their problem and it's just shrouded in shame, you're not going and getting on your meds, you're not detectable, you're just out here raw dogging the world because you're ashamed of potentially having HIV, that stigma puts people at risk, and them and the people that they are sleeping with. We're talking about stigma. We're not talking about the right or wrong of consent. They need help and they should disclose privately to professionals. I don't know. I think it goes back to content. I think it goes back to content. There could be somebody who sees that and say, dang, I do have a problem. I need to get help. Matt Joy spoke. He said most don't act on it. But how do we know that? We don't. We know a lot of kids being molested. They need to be known and seen and treated. They need therapy and screening. Yes, I need them to be open about it because if they open, we can know they're at risk. Sam, if they're open, at least we know that we need to be conscious. But yes, they should be able to speak about it. We should ask questions. But we can't, let's be very clear, we can't make this into a thing like it's cute. That's the whole name shit. We're mass, minor attracted people, bitch. We're not making this no cute ass name. This is bad. We're not rebranding it into something cute and dainty. You like fucking kids. You are attracted to children and that is wrong. There's a problem. You don't need a cute name. Minor attracted people. Girl. That's not, I don't think that that's something that should be respected with a cute name. Yes, they should be able to speak about it. They hide all the time, and that's how children become victims. I'd rather they start talking. Yes, I agree. So I agree they should do it privately, though. What does that help, though? What does privately talking about something help? If you think you're alone in this, how does that help? How does privately help it? I think professional help is the help. I think they need professional help. I think this is something that somebody can do the work doing. I don't know the process of it, but somebody can create groups. I'm pretty sure there are groups out here that they can talk about, that they can talk to people about. I have no advanced degree, but I believe that in the shadows is a recipe for death. It is. There's no way around it. I feel like there are some natural social dynamics that can be therapeutic to some of them. Like I don't see how them folks function without crumbling psychologically. But they absolutely need to talk to. I hate to see it, but conversation therapy, conversion therapy seems useful there.
don't think that works. I think that trains them. The disgust and the shame should be held. There's no understanding of people attraction to children. Shame, 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 shame. Yeah, I think that's a recipe. Shame. If you know anything about psychology, sociology, psychiatry, shame is the root of a lot of people's behavior. That those negative behaviors, shame does not that causes harm. That doesn't actually help people. Shame and abuse, that doesn't help people. That actually works them. So if you're trying to stop show me a person just on a broader level. I'm gonna listen to this. But just on a broader level, show me a person that treats people like shit, and I'll show you a person that hates people. That shames about something that happened to them. And get a person that treats people like shit, that doesn't have something in their character, shame, and they grow up and their behavior is lashing out on somebody smaller and weaker or less powerful. Shame doesn't solve problems. Shame warps them. Shame twists the problem. Shame doesn't solve it. Yeah. Yeah, we're looking for a solution. Shame and look at Cersei. It's a fake person. Cersei. Look at what happened to Cersei. What did Cersei end up doing because of the shame? You just that's a shame. That's that Game of Thrones. Yeah, that shame. They made her walk through the streets naked. But what did she end up doing? It twists it. Shame twisted you. It doesn't help you. It didn't turn Cersei into an amazing person. It didn't atone her. It didn't change her into a special person. It actually made her worse. I'm gonna blow this city up. I'm gonna give y'all the green fire. So now, instead of it just being I'm a stuck up rich woman, I'm just a stuck up rich woman doing what my daddy told me. Now I'm a mass murderer. Because now I'm motivated by revenge. Now I want to find my soul. Shame has never been something that helps people. I understand. It's not. I don't think being disgusted by it is a problem. I don't think shame is the solution. I think what we're trying to figure out is the solution. I think us thinking that it's
Come on.
the pedophile. No, I don't think that's cute. But I don't think totally shutting off the conversation and then letting them be honest about it is a problem. But stay in the shadows. Do you want them to stay in the shadows? Do you really? like serial killers. Is that what you want? I wouldn't. This is a tricky one. I haven't reached my understanding of the disorder. And I don't even want to say I have a problem with calling it a disorder. I don't know if it's I don't know. I think it's a problem. I think it's a sickness. I think it's a sickness. I don't know. I don't know the language to use, but a disorder may be good. My knee-jerk reaction is punitive consequences for those persons. But you're talking about punitive consequences for those persons, but he's a person, if everything is true, he's a person that hasn't acted on his attraction. I've never molested kids. I'm just telling you that I'm attracted to them. What are you giving him consequences for? He hasn't done anything technically. He's just being honest about the attraction. He says, I haven't offended any children. I haven't touched any children. I'm just being honest that I was attracted to a 7-year-old. And when I see little kids, I'm attracted to them. I'm telling you that this is a problem for me. I haven't done anything. So what consequences? He hasn't broken any law. Queerphobia isn't systematic, or is it just prejudice? Just wanted to clarify. It just depends on the circumstances. Yes, but if there is a systematic anti-queer system in our culture, but yes, queerphobia can be systematic, yes. But it just depends on the circumstances. That queer people experience that cisgender people do not. Did he admit that it was indeed wrong, or I missed that part? Yes, he said he needs help. They were discussing what should be done about it. Let's see what. Let me go back to it so we can play it again.
It's getting weird.
And I looked up at her and I just was mesmerized by her beauty. And that's kind of when I first started to realize, wait a minute, my attractions go way lower than what I thought they did. I went through a couple of years of denial and kind of back and forth on it. But eventually, probably about the age of 16, I basically started to accept it. People go, oh, you can't, you have a hard time controlling yourself. You're going to, you're destined to offend. I don't think that's true for most men. Minor attractive person. Non-offending maps exist. We are out there. I don't believe in conversion therapy. The best they can do is help us to cope and find the ways to live with it without causing harm. Destigmatizing itself will help maps to come out of the shadows.
Stay in fucking shadows.
So, he's trying to have the difficult conversation. Disgusting. Just curious, will we all feel as strongly if it was animals? I feel the same disgust. Yeah, I feel this bestiality, any of that. It's bestiality, having sex with animals, having sex with children. Yeah, anything that can't consent is weird to me. I'm just disgusted. But I want to know when you're doing it. I don't want it to be a secret. It would be weird to be a secret to me. It would be, I want you to tell me. I want people to be able to talk about it so we can fix you, buddy.
It sounds like best towns. Hey, thanks for watching.
hope exception is away from the van with their equipment in it. Take him out to Vespucci. There's an alley the Vagos use. If you torch the van there, they might think it's
Here in the United States and all around the world, American government. And I'm throughout the day, we will finish. The budget bill facing a first vote in the Senate this weekend. Plus, the U.S. Supreme Court limiting the power of lower courts to block policy nationwide. Just ahead, why the Trump administration is hailing the decision.
No.
The rebels ceasefire needs for China's ceasefire needs the intent.
Pressing hard to get his massive agenda through the Senate at the end of this weekend. Saturday, it's a President's Day. That's when we expect the first real vote. Open up debate on this bill. This is only three Republican senators. We also have now. More conservative Senator Josh Hawley, they all say raised concerns about the Medicaid cuts. All of them want to see the details of this plan before they commit on how to vote. And some of the members want deeper spending cuts. Senator Ron Johnson, a conservative member, wants deeper spending cuts. Will not say how we would vote on Friday. You know Senator Michael Lee of Utah, who suggested that Lee, Johnson, Senator Rick Scott potentially could all vote in one block on the vote on Saturday. So that would be something to watch. But if this bill goes down today, that would be huge. It would be a setback for President Trump. Putting the pressure on these members to vote yes by his self-imposed July 4th deadline. And if that fails, they'll retool the package, potentially push it back to later this month. If it is approved, then the Senate will descend into what's known as a vote-a-rama. That means a marathon series of amendment votes that will take place all through the day, Saturday night, into Sunday potentially. And that can go on for many, many hours, ultimately before the bill has to final vote on final passage. Then it would come back to the United States House, and that's where so many House Republicans are certainly to vote against this measure because of their concern about some of the changes the Senate made. Then it will be up to Speaker Mike Johnson as well as Donald Trump to control members in the House GOP to fall in line to get it on their desk by July 4th. So a lot of work cut out for them in this major bill that is
don't fuck with me. Every time Lamar walks in smiling like that, I want to try it again.
Social safety net programs, hundreds of billions of dollars in funding for defense programs, national security programs, for border security measures, all of which raise this question. Can Donald Trump get over the finish line, win these numbers over? It's uncertain at this moment. The Republican leaders and the president have a lot of conflicts to do to get a major victory on President Trump's side. CNN,
Our reporter for The Hill, right from Washington. I can just see through the window that there's a lot of laid out. There is a bit of an upward climb that will be kicking off on Saturday here. What are the chances this bill does not actually pass the Senate? That in fact, a number of Republicans do defend?
Yes, look, Howard, that's obviously the key question right now as we're looking forward to the moment where this process could get kicked off. But it's always a murky one and a tricky one to answer. At this moment, as Manu mentioned, there are a handful of Republican senators who have deep concerns with this bill. And the interesting thing is, it's not just one area of concern that this group has. It's varied. Medicaid cuts, green energy tax cuts, a very diverse group of that raises questions and raises the threat of this and the Senate. The Republican that equation is the immense pressure that Republicans are under by their leadership, Senate Majority Leader John Thune. But more importantly, from President Trump and the White House, we have seen him time and time again urge Republicans get behind this bill, mentioning how important it is, the impacts of it, and also the fact that this self-imposed debt outside court. He wants it done by then. So the main question, the equation that we're considering in the coming hours is they have these concerns, but are they willing to cross the president? The dilemma the Republican senators are grappling with.
Yeah, and you talk about which is so important there. It's not just one issue, right, behind which those who have questions and concerns are united. There are multiple issues and multiple concerns about this bill. A number of those also coming up with the Senate parliamentarians as they were going through it. It's interesting to know the president is staying in Washington this weekend. Those efforts to really work on the arm twisting, make sure this can get done. At the same time, you have Senator Thune calling a midday Saturday vote, quote, aspirational. In terms of the details, you still need the text.
Yeah, that's right. And that's one of the biggest things, that we have these Republican senators who have specific concerns with specific parts of the text. And I will note, there are also plenty of concerns on the House side as well. But of course, the Senate is the first hurdle that needs to be cleared in this process. There are a lot of concerns. And a number of senators said earlier today that they don't know how they're going to vote yet on that first procedural vote because they don't know what they're voting on. There are such critical parts of this bill that are being reworked and rewritten because of rulings made by the parliamentarians. So these senators have to parse those specifics to understand where they fall and how they're ultimately going to vote. And as you mentioned, Senator Thune had initially said that he wanted to hold this first procedural vote at noon tomorrow, or I guess technically today now, calling that goal aspirational. Well, it's already been pushed back a little bit. The Senate is not scheduled to convene until 2 p.m., which means that the earliest this first procedural vote can come is shortly after 2 p.m. So very quickly, we're already moving things back. And again, we still don't have the full text and all of the revised details of this bill. So it's absolutely an uphill battle to get this thing done. But oftentimes on Capitol Hill, I will note, things move quickly once all the puzzle pieces are in place. But those pieces are not yet nearly in place at this moment.
Yeah, and that is the key. You also noted that the president, of course, wants this done July 4th. There was a moment where it seemed that he was perhaps open to pushing that date a little bit, saying it's important, it's not the end-all in terms of the deadline, and then a little bit later said it's ready to send that by July 4th. Why is that date so key? Because it has been on the calendar for some time?
Look, a lot of the times in the Capitol, we see leaders set deadlines because oftentimes things don't actually move and happen until members are right in front of that deadline. In a lot of ways, in most ways, really, it's a self-imposed deadline. If Republican senators and House members need more time to work on this bill, they certainly have it. But the president has said, and Speaker Johnson and other Republican leaders have said that a celebration.
was meeting you off the Western Highway just before Polito Bay. You gotta be friends who, like, totally overreact when you say something. My friend Oz is a fine pal. A few years ago, I told him there was a warrant out on him, and he goes full hermit, like stealing food from trash cans, talking to the trees, jerking it with squirrels type hermit. I mean, I know guys who go into hiding and don't even change their golf club. The cops are not that smart or motivated. Where were we? Oh, yeah. Okay, slight change of plans. So, it would appear that some of Avi's paranoia might have been somewhat justified. Our call got picked up, they came after him, and he ran. Now he's holed up in a hut on some small island off the coast, surrounded by about 20 government agents. Much as I'd love to hang him out to dry, he's our only shot at this. Well, it's kind of our fault, so... So, I'm sending you to a rental place on Innocento Road. Pick up some sea sharks and get out to the island.
So stupid.
By blocking it for the entire country. These so-called nationwide injunctions, this is not a Trump phenomenon. This is something that every modern president, Bush, Obama, Biden, they have all faced these. But Trump faced them in record numbers because he so voluminously uses these executive actions. So now, after this opinion, the Supreme Court's conservative supermajority has limited the power that judges have to block policies for the whole country. Now, this is going to be a little bit messy, but going forward, it appears that Trump will be able to sign an executive order, and it will go into effect, at least in parts of the country, and impact some people while it continues to face legal challenges and questions about whether that policy is constitutional. Now, when you talk about something like mass firings or birthright citizenship, allowing those policies to go into effect even for a time, even for only part of the country, that impacts the lives of hundreds, thousands, even potentially millions of Americans, depending on what the policy is that we're talking about. But these still will likely face constitutional questions, and I think we're going to see birthright citizenship over the next year or so. The justices have to look at actually has the constitutional authority to do that, to limit that right, where if you're born here, you are a U.S. citizen. If you do that through executive action, it's not clear if they'll be successful. But what is clear is this is a victory for the president. His lawyers told me as soon as he was inaugurated that he was going to issue executive orders with a very broad view, expansive view of executive power. And they knew they would face challenges. They knew they would lose at the lower courts. They kept telling it. They could just get to the Supreme Court, that court would agree with them and affirm their view of executive power. And that's why after Friday's decision, President Trump does have more power and authority than he did the day before. Paula Reed, CNN, Washington.
In her sole dissent, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote, quote, "Eventually, executive power will become completely uncontainable. Our beloved constitutional republic will be no more." Justice Amy Coney Barrett rejected that argument. In writing for the majority, she said, quote, "We observe only this. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary." Well, the president on Friday abruptly announced that he is ending months-long trade talks with Canada and said he'll soon announce a new tariff rate for the country. The reason, according to President Trump, it's a tax on digital services that was passed by Canada's parliament over a year ago, but was set to on Monday. Mr. Trump has taken issue with those taxes in negotiations with similar taxes in negotiations with several other countries.
They were foolish to do it. And so I said we're going to stop all negotiations with Canada right now until they straighten out their act with all the cards. You know, we do a lot of business with Canada, but relatively little. They do most of their business is with us. And when you have that circumstance, you treat people better.
Crude imports from the U.S. totaled $349 billion last year, with $413 billion in exports to the U.S. Canada's Prime Minister said his government is considering its response to the move, but will continue to engage with the U.S.
We'll continue to conduct these complex negotiations in the best interest of the Canadians. It's a negotiation.
Wilmington U.S. Treasury Secretary said the so-called reciprocal tariffs could soon resume for more than a dozen countries. That message telling CNBC on Friday. They are also nearing, he added, deals with 10 nations. When the tariffs were paused in April, Mr. Trump's new deal deadline was, of course, July 9th, which is just now over a week away. Also on Friday, though, Bessie told Fox News negotiations could be wrapped up by Labor Day. Labor Day is September 1st. That, of course, would be pushing the original framework further out again. As deadly airstrikes continue in Gaza, the U.S. president says a ceasefire is coming soon. More on that.
Let's go.
Brooke Rabel here, mom to four boys who make a lot of dirty clothes. I dread lifting those heavy detergent containers and the big mess they make. Well, check out my latest life Happy Hour laundry sheets. They're lightweight, compact, and mess-free. Just pull it out and drop it in. No more pouring or measuring. All you need is one sheet for the entire load. The same as this full cup of detergent. The secret is a powerful cleaning formulation embedded in the fibers. The whole sheet quickly dissolves in water. Watch this. I'll put a sheet in. It works in hot or cold water. See how fast it dissolves? Look at this stain. There's no wasting time with street treaters because Happy Hour has a built-in stain remover that breaks up stains fast. The formula has a color protection. Plus, it's hypoallergenic and perfect for sensitive skin. And it's eco-friendly, so plastic containers like this won't end up in landfill. But it's still a powerful stain fighter and works in all types of washing machines. This shirt was stained with cherry juice. I'll place one sheet on top and add water. In just seconds, the stain is gone. Check out what people said outside a grocery store.
These are so heavy to lug around. I would love light sheets like these.
Big sponge, 60 loads, and it continues to improve. That's great news.
Your laundry just got a lot easier. Where can I get some of these?
It's time to lighten the load, so you can start Happy Hour soon. Call or go online now to get Happy Hour laundry sheets. Enough for 120 loads for just $14.99 with free shipping. That's right. Call now or go to the website and get a full month of Happy Hour for 50% off our regular price. Happy Hour ships right from the USA. And I guarantee Happy Hour laundry sheets will make laundry days easier or you'll get your money back. Call or go online to get yours today.
Call 1-800-960-9570 or go online to buyhappyhour.com. So call 1-800-960-9570 or go to buyhappyhour.com.
What would you pay for an iPad Pro? I only paid $42 on DealDash. DealDash.com. Online auction since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. And this smart charcoal grill sold for $16. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20. Deals like these and many more happen in the thousands of daily auctions on DealDash.com. All auctions start at $0. And remember, everything must go.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56.
I got this barbecue smoker for $26.
And you get a 90-day money-back guarantee with your first purchase. This brand new iPhone sold for less than $42. And this DJI drone sold for less than $21.
I got it for $16 on DealDash.
And shipping is always free. Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
There are auctions going on right now. So what are you waiting for? All right, Frankie, here we go. Oh, shit. All right, we'll do it big.
When your dog's superhero moment goes sideways. Pumpkin Now, the new urgent pay service from Pumpkin Pet Insurance, can pay you for eligible critical care in just 15 minutes, even before you pay the vet.
So do you look great? Clarky's a really brave boy.
Ask your vet about Pumpkin Pet Insurance or visit pumpkin.care and see Superman, only in theaters July 11th.
Donald Trump says he thinks there will be a ceasefire in Gaza soon. The fighting, however, still goes on. Several people were killed and buried under the sand when an Israeli airstrike hit tents sheltering people. First responders rushing in to recover victims. They also had to put out fires after an Israeli airstrike hit a school building in northern Gaza. Gaza Civil Defense says it was housing individuals who had been displaced. This is what President Trump had to say about stopping the carnage.
I just spoke with some of the people involved. It's a terrible situation that's going Gaza. He's asking about, and we think within the next week we're going to get a ceasefire.
Meantime, there are disturbing accusations in an article from the daily newspaper Haaretz alleging that Israeli soldiers in Gaza have been instructed by commanders to shoot at Palestinians approaching aid sites, even when it was clear they posed no threat. Israel's military says it rejects the report. CNN's Nick Robertson has more now from Jerusalem.
Well, these are incredibly serious allegations, and the period of these allegations over the past month times out with a significant uptick in the number of Palestinians being killed as they go to get aid from the new aid distribution point set up by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a humanitarian body established by the United States and Israel. According to Palestinian health officials, over that period, since late May, more than 500 Palestinians have been killed either on their way to these aid collection points, near the aid collection points, waiting to get aid from trucks. We're also hearing from Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, who say that over the past month, they've noticed what they describe as a stark increase in the number of gunshot injuries from people that have gone to collect food from these humanitarian distribution points. What the Haaretz article alleges is that soldiers that Haaretz says it's talked to, IDF soldiers, say that they were ordered by a commanding officer to fire at the people, unarmed people, waiting at the aid distribution points, waiting to get aid. According to one of the soldiers Haaretz says they interviewed, he described it as a killing field. Now, the IDF rejects these allegations. The Prime Minister, the Defense Minister called them blood libels.
Wasn't me.
It's an effort to tarnish the image and undermine the IDF. But according to Haaretz, the IDF's military advocate general has tasked the military body to investigate
Can you stop?
whether the laws of war were broken, to see, in essence, if war crimes were committed. That's what Haaretz says is happening. If these allegations that Haaretz has uncovered here were proven to be true, this would be a huge blow for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation's aid effort. It would be a huge blow for the IDF and the Israeli government. But at the moment, it is being completely rejected top down. Haaretz is standing by their reporting. Nick Robertson, CNN, Jerusalem.
Constant conflict between neighboring countries is not ideal at all. Therefore, the signing of these agreements will resolve many issues, especially for people involved in cross-border trade.
When Rwanda and Congo maintain good relations, the benefit is that trade, cooperation, and sharing can continue as they did before.
Rwandan citizens reacting as their country in the Democratic Republic of Congo signed a peace deal in Washington, D.C. on Friday. That deal aimed at ending the devastating conflict in the eastern DRC. Qatar brokered the deal, which President Trump touted as a, quote, wonderful treaty. Not everyone, though, is convinced that it can actually end the conflict. CNN's Larry Majoa explains.
President Trump taking a victory lap after this major peace deal between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. He's previously said he thinks he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize for helping make this happen. He called it a dangerous part of the world and praised his senior advisor on Africa, Masad Boulos, for getting it across the line. Masad Boulos is also the father-in-law to his daughter, Tiffany Trump. He hosted the leaders of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, their foreign ministers. He said they were very honored to be at the White House. The parties have agreed to a raft of things. The key part of it is the text here is important. includes the provisions on the respect for territorial integrity and the prohibition of hostilities, the disengagement, disarmament, and conditional integration of ground state armed groups. And they will also establish a joint security coordination mechanism, which will be important to implement this because there have been previous peace deals that have failed between the DRC and Rwanda. Crucially, the M23 rebel group are not a party to this. They are the group that the DRC accuses Rwanda of arming and supporting. Rwanda wants the DRC to disarm and stop supporting the FDLR, which they accuse of planning to overthrow the government of President Kagame. But President Trump also said something that raised a lot of eyebrows in Kinshasa, across the region, and on the continent.
We're getting for the United States a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it. They're so honored to be here. They never thought they'd be coming to. Look, this is a very tough part of the world. They never thought, they were just telling me, they never thought they'd ever be coming to the White House, and they're so honored.
The Democratic Republic of Congo has the world's largest reserves of cobalt, which powers everything from mobile phones to electric cars. And the question here is, how did the DRC put those minerals as part of this agreement? It didn't come up in the official signing that was led by Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, and the two foreign ministers, but suddenly the text will be scrutinized to see exactly what they gave up there. There's a lot of criticism of Western countries aiming and vying for African minerals, and this suddenly fits that description that's often criticized here. Whether this deal does work still remains to be seen, and the question of how was this signed in Washington, not in an African capital? Previous mediation efforts here in Nairobi and in the Angolan capital, Luanda, did not bear fruit. Larry Madowo, CNN, Nairobi.
Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Erica Hill. For our international viewers, Inside Africa is up next. For those of you joining from the United States, I'll have more news after this short break.
This is Noom GLP-1, and this is Angelia.
I really did not know weight gain was going to be an issue through menopause. The Noom program and the meds work hand in hand. I'm Angelia, and I have lost 17 pounds with Noom.
Get started at Noom.com.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading? Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud. Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers. Visit legacybox.com.
We try to be global and we try to be smart. What I want to hear are authentic voices of people who are passionate, who are intelligent, and that's the consistency that we try to get at.
Fareed Zakaria, GPS, Sundays on CNN.
Through HIMSS, hundreds of thousands of guys are finding doctor-trusted treatment for their ED. In fact, we'll show you one. This is him.
I'm him.
Today, he really feels like him.
I'm him.
But he didn't always.
Am I even him?
So we went to hims.com and got ED treatment prescribed 100% online and delivered right to his door. Now every day he feels like him.
I'm him.
Find trusted treatment for ED and start feeling like him. Get started today at hims.com.
Come inside and feast your eyes on 100% all beef hot dogs
for pure deliciousness. Where making your soft and bubbly perfection is waiting for you. Alongside fluffy, melty biscuits and croissants. That's breakfast choice. It's stop on your way, stop in your tracks, but single business all in one place. Race the track, whatever gets you going.
Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.
Africa, a rising population means more mouths to feed, and demand increases. To innovate and build our relationship with food.
Here's another story that's nothing. We should really try to not forget where we come from. And I think that's where the secret in my message to all my young chefs would be.
In this episode of Inside Africa, we'll journey across Zimbabwe and Southern Africa to meet the visionaries and entrepreneurs looking to change what we do. Looking ahead at the future of medical research in Africa and beyond is for people to be more accepting, people to be more embracing of the great American protein from alternative, sustainable sources. In fact, the future of food might not be found in supermarkets at all. We lost all our connection to the land, our neighbors, to our food. Once we start following it, all you guys connect back to your landscape. And you start to value places that otherwise you wouldn't value. This is the taste of things to come.
We need to know our food. We are running away from healthy food just because the food that's coming is trendy. But is it healthy?
After President Trump has urged Ayatollah Ali Khamenei to, quote, tell the truth about the conflict with Israel. Meantime, on Friday, Mr. Trump did not rule out further direct action against Iran to show the country pursue nuclear weapons.
It's been purchased before with foods that Iran can enrich uranium to levels of concern. Would you consider bombing the country again?
Without question, absolutely. Absolutely. Unbelievable.
The Trump administration telling members of the U.S. House on Friday they are working with Iran back to the negotiating table. One senior Republican says Secretary of State Marco Rubio told him he wants to meet one-on-one with Iranian leadership and not negotiate. Iran is set to hold public funerals for senior military commanders and nuclear scientists who were killed in the Israeli strike. Live images here from Iran. Officials expect 50 coffins carrying the bodies of those top officials and other key figures, including the head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Reports say at least 4 women and 4 children will also be buried. Israel players killed 11 Iranian nuclear scientists and 30 senior security officials, including 3 top commanders. The Iranian Health Ministry has said 627 people were killed in Iran by Israeli military action. Joining me now, Benem Ben Khalidou, who's the Senior Director of Iran's President of the Foundation for Defense of Democracy. Joining us this hour from Washington, it's good to have you here this hour. When we look at where things stand, and certainly some of the comments that have been replying back and forth between President Trump and the Ayatollah in Iran, where do you believe this stands, especially with the Secretary of State that wants to have one-on-one talks with leadership? How feasible do you think that is?
Great to be with America. It's an excellent question because while many may have seen military action versus a widening conflict as a potential way to wind down the threat and wind down the challenge, the Islamic Republic of Iran lets people get very aggressive actor, very ideological actor, and as the U.S. increasing stakes, given the increasing leverage it has in successful military operations, engagement in focusing on all the time to look like the end is really, I would say, the answer to the debate.
We look for the messaging, right, and what can be read in the messaging. How does, for example, the messaging differ inside Iran, that domestic message to Iranians versus what Iran is putting out there on the global stage?
Well, usually you're right to pick up on the difference in what the message from officials would say in Persian versus what they would say in English. But broadly, this regime is still trying to say that they do lack in both languages, so far, be they Western or domestic Iranian. In particular, you had the supreme leader in Iran in a speech not too long ago, touting three distinct victories against America, Israel, and on behalf of the Iranian people for unity. When in reality, there was no unity, there was no national rally, and it was soundingly defeated, at least on the conventional battlefield, that Israel was fighting Americans. So, hyperbole on the public for both status reasons as well as security reasons is important.
What are you going to be watching in the coming days? The studio is today obviously very important. There's a lot of focus on that, a number of people coming out. What signs, though, will you be looking for in the coming days that will give us a sense of which direction potential talks going to be needed?
Well, I'll tell you honestly, one thing I'm looking at in Iranian Americans telling me just about what's going on in the streets of that country is the increasing crackdown under the cover of securitization that the regime is engaging against the population, going at mass arrests, going at several executions. The regime traditionally does execute political opponents and others, often under the cover of espionage. The regime during the course of the entire 12-day war has talked about institutional authority given to go after anyone who's supposed to be moderately anti-regime or moderately pro-Israel in Iranian cyberspace. So I am looking at these crackdowns that unfortunately may sustain a post-1991 Saddam-like situation inside the country and abroad with respect to Washington and the Trump administration. I'm looking at how eager is the president for a deal and how able is the U.S. diplomatic and military into a political game. As you know, the Middle East is littered with examples of military wins that have not been able to turn into political.
Was there too much discussion to that point exactly? Do you think there was too much discussion about a win and not win early on?
Well, in general, I think the government of the Trump public understands that every administration following Bush 2 that is coming to power wants to do better in the Middle East, not more. Whether you look at their rhetoric or whether you look at the tweets, that is objectively a reality, and that is something that is going to play to the advantage of our adversaries, like the Trump advantage. But here, I think we did have a significant amount of military confidence finally, for example, narrowing from that. That rhetoric. I think the real question for the regime is, will they be able to play this, arsenal poker against Washington over time, especially if this administration threatens to bomb again if the regime is constituted.
That's such a good point. I really appreciate your insight, Dr. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some residents of the California community have a very weak perception of fighting. If we look at what has unfolded between Israel and Hamas, continuing to watch Israel spend time in the neighborhood known as their engines to find out why it's been so difficult to watch this conflict unfold far away. Now that all of my countries are involved in this war, all of them, Israel, Iran, and now the USA, it is just all-consuming in comparison. I want to say that first and foremost, people dying is the last thing that I want.
Rabbi Carlin Ravi today is among the American living here in Atlanta.
There are a lot of people that are very concerned. They have family members in Iran, they have family members in Israel, and that they are all being divided.
You in your own country, in the grocery store, in the neighborhood,
to care about Israel providing because it's not homeless. Most people would understand. Iranian Jews have lived in Iran for 2,500 years since the time of Queen Esther.
biblical Jewish queen.
The country was originally Zoroastrian. People were forced to convert to Islam. The Jews thrived there.
Religions have coexisted for 2,000 years. Then most Jews fled around the time of the Islamic Revolution.
No. We were persecuted for our religion because we were exiled.
I mean, you are eventually Ayatollah's worst nightmare.
Maybe. I don't think follow it. But yes.
You would like an Iran free of the conflict?
Absolutely. I would say that the majority of the Iranian people would feel the same way. I am not going to apologize that I would love to be able to go back to a free Iran and see where my ancestors came from. My community is very hopeful that they're going to be able to see peace in their time and be able to visit. I remember when we invaded Iraq and my family kept shaking their heads at the television and saying, "Wrong country, man." We wasted a lot of lives there, though, and Americans are really scared about putting our soldiers at risk again, and I don't blame them. This is going to be something that is going to have to happen at the hands of the Iranian people themselves with their own courage, their own strength to be able to see freedom.
Nick Wall, CNN, Los Angeles.
California's Democratic governor is now suing Fox News. Gavin Newsom accusing Fox of defamation over its coverage of a phone call between him and Donald Trump during the president's immigration work.
He filed a lawsuit against Fox News for lies, for deceit, for misrepresentation. Enough of their lies. We'll see them in court.
Newsom alleges Fox aired deceptively edited videos and made false statements claiming that he, Newsom, had lied about the timing of a phone call from the White House. He is seeking $787 million in damages. Fox has rejected his claims and called the suit a, quote, transparent publicity stunt. The president of the University of Virginia resigning under pressure by the U.S. Justice Department to dismantle that school's diversity, equity, and inclusion program. So what you're hearing there are students cheering in support of outgoing President Jim Ryan. He said he is resigning with a heavy heart, writing, "I cannot make a unilateral decision to fight the federal government in order to save my own job," and adding that would have been selfish and employees would lose jobs, researchers would lose funding, and students would use it quickly with power. Ryan's departure comes as the Trump administration is federal funding for higher education institutions over DEI issues. DEI has repeatedly asked for trade system time to ban. We are continuing to a new stage of financial trial starting Monday. Coming up, what the jury heard in Cleveland's argument on Friday.
Something went on at Live Aid that's building this Live Aid with rock and roll to around the world. Records on CNN.
Maya, I evolved looking for extra hydration. Not complete Nutricure. It was differently controlled. Complete Nutricure is a once-daily supplement. The clinical treatment to hydrate from within, helping rise to the core of your own series. To promote lasting relief you feel day after day. Try Blink Nutricure. A different way to support dry eyes.
Etsy.com has all kinds of states. The city hotel is right itself. But right with our houses. Find exactly what you're looking for. Booking.com, booking.yeah. Use Advil Liquid Gel for faster, stronger, and longer-lasting relief than Tylenol Rapid Release Gels. Because Advil targets pain at the source of inflammation. So for faster pain relief, Advil, the pain relief.
Sometimes it takes a different approach to see the possibilities of religion. At DePaul University, you learn relevant skills like build through AI solutions when you earn a bachelor's in IT.
Running long clinical animal training can help us to keep our animal for a long time. It's backed by science, is clinically proven to strengthen our teeth. I would recommend this toothpaste to everybody.
Come up on the airfield, take the bus around the back of the building and torch it.
Every day. Things here for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacy's recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Gatorade Zero has the #1 human electrolyte blend with zero sugar, designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and push more limits. Is it in you? Can you do this?
As early as your 40s, you may lose muscle and strength. Protein supports muscle health. Ensure Max Protein has 30 grams of high-quality protein to feed muscles for up to 7 hours. So take the challenge. Ensure nutrition for strength and energy.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, every week we learn something new. We can immediately just jump right in and use those skills. Because with my degree from UMGC, I feel confident. I have the background when I walk into any room.
3x48 nights for captains. Those are good. David Boone and David Bell. Jägermeister. Damn it. Did you just do what I said? Voice, CNN.
Well, the jury is about to get the criminal case against Sean Diddy's home. After 3 marathon days of closing arguments, jury deliberations are set to begin on Monday. Christina Antolis explains. The case is almost in the jury's hands in the Sean Diddy home trial. Closing arguments coming to an end on Friday, with the defense saying this is a ill-equipped trial. The trial of the evidence is the trial that the prosecution is presenting. They think the trial of the prosecution is one that is, quote, badly exaggerated, but they say that the evidence, well, what it shows is a lifestyle of cheating, and that lifestyle includes being swingers or having threesomes. But even though that may be a peculiar choice, it is not criminal. Now, Combs' defense attorney Mark Adnicolo really taking aim at Kathy Ventura, the star witness of this trial. She, of course, is Sean Combs' ex-girlfriend of 11 years, who she claims has endured a decade plus of abuse by Sean Combs. Well, he said that she's no victim, that she is not naive, she is a strong woman, and that is actually why Combs fell in love with her. He actually said that Kathy Ventura is the winner of this trial. Why? Because of money. The federal investigation into Combs all began with Kathy Ventura's civil lawsuit that she filed back in November of 2023. Well, that bombshell lawsuit was settled in 24 hours between Kathy and Combs. So today, during closing arguments, here is what his attorney had to say to the jury. He said, quote, Kathy is nobody's fool. Kathy is sitting somewhere in the world with $30 million. Combs is in jail. Kathy won. Now, the prosecutors got the final word, of course, with their rebuttal, and they said that the defense's closing argument to call these women liars was nothing but victimless. They said it was ridiculous, it was nonsensical, it was preposterous. They said that Sean Combs has committed crimes and gotten away with it because of his inner circle, that enterprise, for 20 years. They ended it by saying that Sean Combs believed that he was a god among men. But he's not a god. In this courtroom, there are no gods. There are only people, and we implored the jury to find him guilty. Now, on Monday, the jury will return. They will get their instructions, and then deliberations will begin. Back to you. Elizabeth, thank you for that. Well, authorities in New Orleans say they've now captured yet another inmate. He's been on the run for more than a month. Anton Massey and 9 others escaped from New Orleans jail on May 16th. Investigators say they took advantage of bad luck, stolen bedding, and a hungry jail employee escaped. A tip led to Massey's arrest in a neighborhood 50 miles from the prison. There is still one escapee who remains alone. So the time here, I guess Bezos' lavish wedding in Venice is boosting the city's tourism industry.
This all goes to plan. You rendezvous on the beach in the Palomino Highlands. And remember, Rishkovsky's paying you to get him out. I'm just a friendly stranger you know very little about.
How do you sleep at night? On a mattress term. By sleeping.
At the July 4th sale, get a Sealy King bag for a clean price and save up to $700. Plus, get free adjustable base. Get Match That Mattress from Sleep at Night.
T-Mobile has an exclusive bundle for customers 55 and up. Right now, get unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month. All on America's largest 5G network. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy. Switch today and get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each. You know, if you're into that whole saving money thing, visit your local store to start saving now.
I wish my TV provider let me choose what I paid for.
When did you do that?
I like the sound of that. I wish my TV provider let me pause my subscription when I want. I wish my TV provider would have hundreds of channels.
Once a bus of secure demolitions is driving into Sandy Shores, the pilot's going to LSIA.
Dear Dr. Chang, I used to think I was never meant to be beautiful. I was teased because of my teeth. I didn't like the person looking at me. I never thought I could afford dental implants. When you're king or within my budget, it helped me feel comfortable to things stay together. I love my new smile. Thank you.
Congratulations, Vidya. Introducing a lifetime warranty on your Honda Archer. Only at Quick Choice. Call to schedule a free consultation.
Hi, I'm Gary Player. I'm a professional golfer. I've won 165 pro tournaments, but what means more to me than all of this is my ability to give back and do good.
You're an incredible human being, but you join the Tower to Power Foundation, you see the work we're doing, and what you do is fantastic. Energy Power is working every day to support America's greatest hero. Please donate $11 a month at team2.org.
Pretty excited about breakfast. Around here, it's not a patio.
It's fitted with a geolocator, so it needs to be going in vaguely in the right direction. Bypass the prison and take it out to Sandy Shores Airfield, where you'll destroy it and wait for the jet. Not attract police attention or the entire operation will be burned.
Constipated. When you're tired of your backed up gut, and you sleep. What's natural? And it was 30 minutes. Works gently.
Target relief. Any topical pain reliever with 4 powerful pain-fighting ingredients that start working on contact to target tough pain stores for up to 8 hours of powerful relief. Advil targeted relief. Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com. If you or a loved one comes mesophilia, we'll send you a free book that answers questions you need help. Call now, and we'll copy you. 800-214-4000.
Denmark revealed a plan to fight deep fake by giving its citizens property rights over their license and voice. It will find conservative controlling videos created by artificial intelligence that target everyone from politicians who are portrayed as friendly to ordinary people who use things porn. The Virginia's legislation would give people the right to ask platforms to take down fake content. The Culture Ministry, though, warns that the deepfake of this one is so widespread, technology has far outpaced the legislation. It does expect the measure to become law this fall. The next step would include fines and companies that don't respond. Billionaire Jeff Bezos is now married to former reporter Lauren Sanchez. Of course, it happened in church in Venice on Friday. The lavish star-studded wedding weekend reported cost $65 million. Venice Bridge Park could rake in more than $1 billion in tourism. Dozens of A-list guests rounded the attendance. As your protesters who tried to conduct festivities around the 13-year-old Poet with more. It is day 2 of the 3-day extravaganza that is the Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez wedding here in Venice, held in the scorching heat. We first caught a glimpse of the bride and former journalist today as she exited her hotel in style on a water taxi with 2 huge diamond rings and a bracelet with the initials LB. She was soon followed by the Amazon founder and a sea of photographers. As they headed over there to the private San Giorgio Maggiore Island here in Venice, where they tied the knot in front of 200 guests, a barrage of celebrities, including Oprah Winfrey, Kendall and Kylie Jenner, Usher, and Tom Brady.
And we know that a performance by Matteo Bocelli is happening there tonight. He's the son of the legendary Italian opera singer Andrea Bocelli. And here is the now Lauren Sanchez Bezos on the cover of Vogue in her Dolce & Gabbana wedding gown, finally revealed after much anticipation. Italy's tourism minister said Venice will spend $1.1 billion as a result of the billionaire's wedding. But we have been kept almost entirely in the dark throughout the 2 days about exactly when and where the ceremony will be taking place, not just so that they could keep the press and the paparazzi at a distance, but also, of course, protesters with threatening disrupt the scenes. So it is a thought that if we watched the happy couple tie the knot and off the night away. But it's about it, and thanks.
Well, the wedding had a number of tourists and local people that approved double pics, and here's why. This is a Jeff Bezos lookalike. He's from Germany. He's been walking around Venice, surprising people, taking pictures with them. The lookalike says he took a water taxi to a luxury hotel and the people there thought he actually was. The New York Times has completed its list of top 100 movies of the past quarter-century. The newspaper's #1 pick, Parasite, the South Korean drama that won the Oscar for Best Picture in 2020. At #2, Mulholland Drive, from Justice David Lynch, who died earlier this year. Also in the top 10, There Will Be Blood, Moonlight, The Social Network, and 2 other Asian films in the mood for love from Hong Kong director Wong Kar-wai and the Japanese animated feature Spirited Away. Hopefully you've seen a few of those, and if not, there you go. Check them out this weekend. Whole list. You can catch up on. Thanks so much for joining me for this hour of CNN Newsroom, America Hill in New York. I'll be back with much more after this break.
Something went wrong at Live Aid. There was a Live Aid with rock and roll and all the works celebrities on CNN. The only possible thing to do is 4 powerful thing-fighting companies that start working in contact to target tough humans at source for up to 8 hours of powerful. Agile targeted video. I like to know more than that. Flying new food, attack. But that is distracted with that following. That 10,007. Now you can see how food that's the figure level control. The best down in 7, you're going to have to do it to the environment and the house.
When expectations are high, there's no need for uncertainty. In maximize impact, your logo will still look great on the right here and on and that starts with 4Instance. To get your brand noticed, visit 4Instance.com. Share everything. Right? Everyday behaviors, but also share facts. Even if your team
This all goes to plan your rendezvous on the beach in the Palomino Islands. And remember, Reshkovsky's paying you to get him out. I'm just a friendly stranger you know very little about.
Symptoms appear, Is your team missing vaccination against certain groups of meningitis? Ask their doctor today.
Looks like we told people living neutral customize your car insurance so no one pays for what you need. Only pay for what you need.
Gatorade Zero has the #1 proven electrolyte blend with zero sugar, designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and push more limits. Hey, William.
In the Jurassic World, every new vehicle is Jurassic Racing. Experience open air freedom drive. and especially all summer long. 3x48 and nice and fat, please. Also, yeah. Serve it cold, and don't serve it at all. Jägermeister. Damn it. Subscription and how much you're paying. All in one place. Is this the best budgeting app? Yes. And it's called Rocket.
Celebrate the 4th in America. Live July 4th at 7 on CNN.
Top of the hour here. Hello and welcome to CNN News. I'm America Health. Thanks so much for joining me this hour. President Trump dropping a hammer on Canada again, ending all trade talks over digital service tax. The degree, of course, giving a green light for the president to pursue even more of his agenda. A key ruling on lower court injunction, and the president predicting a ceasefire could come as soon as next week for Gaza. In the wake of that truce between Israel and Iran. U.S. stock market hitting some record highs on Friday to wrap up a pretty big economic week for the United States. That's despite a move by President Trump that would reignite potentially a trade war with Canada. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq Composite both setting new records on Friday. The Dow closed within 3% of its all-time high. All this despite what was a wobbly afternoon. Markets did briefly. The reason? A digital services tax. So that's applied to companies like Google, Apple, and Meta. It's set to go into effect on Monday. Mr. Trump has taken issue with similar taxes and negotiations with several countries. Canada's Prime Minister its response to the news. CNN correspondent Paula Newton has more now on these developments.
To many in Canada, it had seemed as if the trade war with the United States would simmer down. Prime Minister Mark Carney, Donald Trump getting along so well during the G7 meeting earlier this month, and a kind of flexible deadline for trade negotiations to wrap up later in July has been set. Then, Donald Trump said it was the digital services tax that was going to be imposed by Canada. Now, to be clear, this tax has been in place in Canada for about years. First payment for the digital companies is supposed to be paid on June 30th. Donald Trump said, no, it must be off the table in order for trade negotiations of any kind to go forward. Listen.
They were foolish to do it. And so I said, we're going to stop all negotiations with Canada right now until they straighten out their act. We have all the cards. No, we do a lot of business with Canada, but relatively little. They do most of their business with us. And when you have that circumstance, you treat people better.
The president isn't wrong about that. In fact, it will have a chilling effect over Canada's economy already teetering close to recession. I want you to listen now, though, to Prime Minister Mark Carney.
I just think that any reaction to the
we're working to these complex negotiations in the best interest of Canadians. It's a negotiation.
Now, Canadian officials say they will do their negotiating behind closed doors. But this certainly was a salvo that means that the clock continues to tick down on a trade deal with Canada. And the longer this uncertainty lasts, the more that the president is correct, that this will continue to hurt Canada much more than it will hurt the United States. And the president likely believes that will get the United States a better trade deal in the end. On to the CNN, Ottawa.
For more on this, we're joined by Christopher Clark, an economics professor at Washington State University, joining us from Pullman, Washington. Nice to have you here. So, as Paula just laid out, this could cause some considerable pain to Canada. Donald Trump saying earlier today, we have all the cards, every single one. Is he right?
Every single one is clearly an exaggeration. Canada is one of our largest trading partners, Canada, Mexico, and China. There would be significant effects for the American economy. Sure, there's asymmetry, but not anywhere near costless for the United States economy.
There's also the fact this is all sort of brewing around as Paula laid out, is brewing around this digital services tax, right? Which has been in effect, but these retroactive payments are coming due on Monday. That's the big issue. It's not dissimilar, though, to taxes from European countries that the president has also railed against. What's interesting, though, is the end in quotes here, at least for the moment, to any negotiating in terms of a trade deal with Canada. That's not what we're seeing with some of these other countries. Does that surprise you?
The president is not known for his consistency on these issues. He continually threatens to do huge tariffs and then a few days later reverses them. It remains to be seen whether or not these threats to stop negotiations are going to last very long. The stock market, as we just learned, closed at a record high level, so I don't think the market's really betting on a lot of disruption right now.
How much do you think that is the fact that a lot of this uncertainty at this point is now baked in for the markets?
Oh, I think that's a really good point. The uncertainty's been here for over 5 months. Some things have settled down. You know, the big, large tariffs that were announced back in Liberation Day on April 2nd all have been pulled back. And the initial large tariffs on Canada and Mexico that were announced back in February and March have yet to be put back on the table. So I think the uncertainty that we have is largely baked in, and I think that the large threats are not being believed by the market.
There's also this, we're sort of continuing to see the can be kicked down the road a little bit, as we heard today. Some of these deals now, we're told, maybe closer to September 1st, Labor Day, of course. The fact that the goalposts keep getting moved as well, I mean, how much incentive is there for a lot of these countries when they do keep seeing that the goalpost moves, that perhaps they do have a little more time?
I think that's a very good point. There has not been a deadline that has hit and stuck for anything major so far. Take it from tariffs or even the TikTok ban, which has been signed by law by Congress, and yet it's continually kicked down the road as we go along.
Put into perspective for us, if you could, what would happen, right, if these talks did not restart? I mean, Paula talked a little bit about the pain that Canada would feel. How painful would it be as well on this side of the border?
Well, I mean, it depends on the specifics. The current situation between the U.S. and Canada is we've imposed tariffs on aluminum and steel, but have not done anything outside of the pre-existing trade deal that Trump signed in his first term. If trade negotiations stop and that situation changes and doesn't be renewed, we're looking at serious economic pain for large sections of the United States, particularly areas in the automobile industry or in the Midwest or Detroit area that do a lot of trade across the border. Certainly right here in my home state of Washington, where we engage with trade with Vancouver just north of us, areas will feel some significant pain. So to sum up, significant recession in Canada, but economic suffering and pain here in the U.S. as well.
Yeah. Christopher Clark, great to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me tonight.
Well, meantime, President Trump is celebrating what he called a giant win from the Supreme Court. On Friday, a majority of the justices ruling to limit the power of lower courts in the U.S. to block his policies on a nationwide basis. Julia Benbrook is in Washington with those details. In a 6-3 ruling, the conservative majority backed President Donald Trump's efforts to curtail lower federal courts from issuing nationwide injunctions that have served as a roadblock to his agenda for months, but left the fate of his divisive executive order on birthright citizenship unclear. The High Court's decision was a significant win for Trump, and it could have lasting implications, not only for the remainder of his term, but also for future presidents of both parties. In the majority opinion, Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote, quote, "When a court concludes the executive branch has acted unlawfully,
So what you looking for?
The court to exceed its power too. In a dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor warns that under the ruling, no right is safe in the new
Now
legal
Trump is
regime
prime?
the court creates.
Scary ass
Writing
shit.
today, the threat
Even
is
when
to
I saw his
birthright
ass coming down the
citizenship.
block, I was straighten
Tomorrow,
up.
a different administration may try to seize firearms from law-abiding citizens or prevent people of certain faiths from gathering to worship. There were several other major rulings on Friday. The court also ruled that religious parents can opt their children out of the reading of LGBTQ books in school and upheld the Texas law that requires age verification for personal requests. And in the latest legal challenge to Obamacare challenge of the court upheld a task force that recommends preventive health care services that ensures that
Hey there, what's shaking?
now, every year, the Supreme Court tries to finish its work, but it's unusual to see so many highly watched cases on the final decision day. In Washington, I'm Julia. I'm joined by Jessica Levinson. She's a professor of law at Loyola Law School and also the host of the Backing Judgment podcast. It's good to have you with us. So President Trump has said that this, in his words, a tremendous win, this ruling. Talk about in context. How big of a win is it not only for President Trump, but for the executive branch moving forward?
I love the way you phrase that question because I think that's exactly right. This is a win for anybody who inhabits the Oval Office. We know that it's not just President Trump who doesn't like it when federal judges impose nationwide injunctions when people challenge their executive orders, but it's essentially all presidents. We can think back to President Biden and President Obama. Now, we should note that President Trump is issuing more executive orders by orders of magnitude than his predecessors, and they're being challenged as well. But this is a win for the Trump administration. I think it's a win for those who embrace a broad view of executive power.
So, and then just lay out for us what comes next here. So there's a pause for 30 days, essentially. This issue will go back to the lower courts. There is an expectation, too, that there could be some additional legal challenges.
Well, that's right. So now both sides essentially start fighting and trying to apply the Supreme Court's order. So the Trump administration is going to go back to these lower courts. There were 3 different judges who imposed nationwide injunctions when people challenged them.
Ready for some real excitement? Then on the podium, we will fast track the precision of the diamond stand.
I don't know what you're talking about, kid. No, that's kind of weird.
Since the Supreme Court made its decision, then it's challenging
Bitch.
Which is a whole way of saying, yes, now we go back to the lower courts and now we fight about how to apply the Supreme Court's decision in this particular case.
Okay, it is bedtime. Y'all have a great night. Have a fun weekend. Be safe, whatever y'all plan on doing. I'll be doing nothing.
Next door to states that do, which would usher in a whole host of issues. So one state
Classy.
another state, that happens all the time in the U.S. Or you're born in one state, and then you move to a state where all of a sudden your citizenship is
Right. Yeah, I will see y'all later. AKA next week.
Obviously would be a very
Oh my God, I'm gonna be. Oh wow.
legally and in terms of practically on the ground what it would mean for people. So what the court said in its majority opinion is that there might be situations where states can get nationwide injunctions. Those would be rare situations, but it would be situations where the state can't otherwise get adequate relief. In my view, this is a situation where the states can, with a straight face, say, we can't get adequate relief. Maybe it's for our residents, maybe it's for people who travel into the state without a nationwide injunction. So I'm not sure that we are going to see this particular executive order take effect anywhere in the country. Obviously, we'll know more in 30 days. But I think the impact of this decision, frankly, could be felt with respect to other executive orders and other challenges to those orders even more deeply.
Jessica Levinson, really appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Thank you.
California's Democratic governor is now suing Fox News. Gavin Newsom accusing Fox of defamation over its coverage of a phone call between him and Donald Trump during the president's immigration raids.
I just filed a lawsuit against Fox News for lies, for deceit, for misrepresentation. Enough of their lies. We'll see them in court.
Newsom alleges Fox aired deceptively edited videos and made false statements claiming that Newsom had lied about the timing of the phone call from the White House. He is seeking $787 million in damages. Fox has rejected the suit and the claim, and calls the suit a transparent publicity stunt. Still ahead here this hour, tensions with the U.S. and Israel front and center at some religious events and ceremonies in Iran on Friday. CNN was there and heard from people in attendance. We have that report for you after the break.
Hey folks, Chris Coonihan here with Leaf Filter, America's largest gutter protection company. Leaf Filter has over 150 locations and has been installed on over 1 million homes. We've been protecting homes now for over 20 years. Our patented technology offers total protection for your home and comes with a lifetime transferable warranty. The process is simple. Give us a call to schedule your free gutter inspection. If you decide to move forward with the project, you put nothing down at all. 833-LEAF-FILTER or visit leaffilter.com today.
Allergic itch was a growing problem for me and my human. Then the vet gave me Apoquel. It works at the source and starts relieving itch in as fast as 4 hours.
May cause worsening of existing parasitic skin infestations, serious infections, or pre-existing cancers. New neoplasias have been observed. Do not use in dogs under 12 months of age with serious infections or in breeding, pregnant, or lactating dogs.
Big or little itch, ask for Apoquel. Apoquel.
University of Maryland Global Campus is a school for real life, one that values the successes you've already achieved. Earn up to 90 undergraduate credits for relevant experience. And get the support you need from your first day to graduation day and beyond. What will your next success be?
Choose Advil Liquid Gels for faster, stronger, and longer-lasting relief than Tylenol Rapid Release Gels. Because Advil targets pain at the source of inflammation. So for faster pain relief, Advil, the pain away.
Oh, for the love.
Sweetie, can you lower my monthly bill?
Nah, I can raise it.
You can what?
You'll see. Save up to $30 a month and get 3 months free.
There's a reason Chevy is called the heartbeat of America. A heartbeat strong, steady, unwavering. Like the people who keep this country moving, doing what they do best. Helping neighbors, pitching in, and getting it done. For them, only America's most dependable truck will do. In every Chevy truck, like every Chevy driver, dependability comes standard.
If you're living with HIV, imagine being good to go without daily HIV pills. Good to go off the grid. Good to go nonstop. With Cabenuva, there's no pausing for daily HIV pills. For adults who are undetectable, Cabenuva is the only complete, long-acting HIV pill you can get.
Later.